This thing that I have found is what I would call my gracious space. Hey folks, Jack Carlisle here with Gracious Spaces, and we are high atop this beautiful town, Old Town Orange, in our Gracious Spaces studio. And we're just going to jump right into it, folks, because I am super excited to introduce you to my guest today. I just met the guy, and he has this infectious, just this energy that you just want to get to know, and that's what we're going to do today. So welcome, Andrew Beall.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So we were chatting kind of prior to this, and life is funny. What can give you curveballs, opportunities, so many things. And I'm glad that this weekend a friend of mine and also a past guest, JP Beall, came in, and we were chatting, and there's this incredible film festival this weekend also that took place in Santa Ana called the Old Town Film Festival. Also a prior guest, Dan Parks. You guys got a lot of homework to do if you don't know who these people are. You got some listening to take care of. But JP said, yeah, it's kind of cool. My cousin is sort of watching your ads fly up on the screen throughout this whole film festival. And I'm like, no way. And so next thing I know, Andrew's sitting here in the studio. And not only is he one of the submitted a documentary, he also won. And you won. Tell us the award you won.
I was best determination short, kind of a inspirational film type category. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
And that's for the Straight and Narrow, right?
Yes, yeah.
And this was your first film?
Yes,
that you created?
Yeah.
And how many have you created?
One.
Okay, first
one. I got a couple of them cooking right now too. So we got the next one is coming, but that was my first one. Yeah.
How impressive is that? Your first one, and it's up there at this amazing film festival with some heavy hitters, and you won.
It was crazy, and
wow,
that's one of the things I said when I accepted the award. Just I was blown away by how great all the other people's films were, and so it's an honor to even be in the room with them. It's very inspirational. So.
Wow. Were you able to attend most of the events throughout the weekend?
I caught a couple of the blocks. I couldn't catch everything, but yeah, I just tried to catch as many of the films as I could, and there were just some amazing work.
Well, our buddy Dan Parks, I give it to him. He works his butt off for that film festival, and this is his second one, and he had a little summer series as well. And so kudos to Dan. Yes. I want to make sure we shout out to him.
Absolutely. And I thanked him. Didn't get a chance to talk to him too much prior, but at the event I just said, you can really tell that he cares.
Yeah.
And is a super film buff, I think. Just with the Q&As and the questions he asks. I mean, they do a really great job.
Yeah. How was that for you as a participant? Did he have it kind of everything set easy for you guys? Just come in, do your thing?
Exactly. Yeah, very easy. You kind of very great communication ahead of time. You knew what was going on. Yeah. And his preparation on the Q&As was great. And he had clearly, you could tell he watches all the films, makes detailed notes, and a lot of the questions were great. And I don't know where I was kind of nervous to get up there. I was like, all right. But he was great, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes with his whole philosophy is bringing people together in the same industry and creative minds, and just really taking from each other what you can glean from each other. Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a very fun experience. So.
Well, not only that, you just celebrated a birthday.
Oh, yeah. 28 is a real number now. I'm a little scared. I don't know. I think after 25, you're like, I can stop counting now. I can rent a car now. I don't need to keep counting birthdays. So.
Well, I in doing a little background on you and looking at your social medias and whatnot, you're a pretty impressive guy at 28. I mean, where are you taking this? What's next?
Definitely want to keep doing filmmaking. I think my overall goal is just to be really acting full time. I think I'd love to do that. Yeah. I just started acting this year, and it's kind of touched on in the film. Yeah. Where you kind of see the character going through those kinds of struggles, trying to figure out how do I now transition into my passions. Yeah. And it's certainly what I'm doing, figuring out right now as well. So yeah, hopefully.
Well, let's go down that road right now then, since you mentioned it. So you've got Austin, the character, and he's got this really mundane sort of 9 to 5. Yes. He's grown up, he's out in the world working, but he realizes he really isn't happy. Yeah. Right. So did a little bit of that come from your?
I absolutely based it. I remember my first 2 years after college working in an office, and you're like, oh, so I just sit here all day. This is what I do now.
Yeah.
You come in, you leave, it's dark. You don't even see the sun. It's kind of a little bit of a sad thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you enjoy the work, but it was definitely a transition. So I absolutely based a lot of it on those first 2 years. So.
Well, and so I kind of agree. I don't kind of. I do agree. I was at the gym facility that I go to. I was getting out of my car, parking garage, the whole deal, walking to the gym. And, there's all these people kind of dressed with briefcases and their little suits and stuff. And they're all lined up. And I'm like, God, I can't imagine being in that line with them and walking into an office all day.
It's very cyclical. And so you wake up, it's the same thing. I think Dan actually mentioned this. He's like, have you seen Groundhog Day? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like that, honestly.
Totally. That was a good film, actually. So playing it safe, do you think that also means giving up on your dreams a little bit?
I think sometimes. I mean, obviously everybody's different and every situation is different. But I think for me, I remember when I left my first job to move on. And I loved everybody there, so it was a great experience. But I remember feeling like, I feel like I could be doing more.
Yeah.
And if I continue to stay, am I passing up on, just what's next and getting better and continuing to grow?
And not settling for safety.
Exactly. Settling for what you have right now. And it is certainly a leap. And like I quit and didn't have a job. So that wasn't maybe the best thing to do. It worked out. But
it must be a trend now there. I have a friend the other day. He calls another friend. He goes, I'm just quitting my job. You got any leads for me? Like, no plan.
At that point, you either make it or you don't, I guess. So.
You're sort of forced. You're up against the wall. You know? But what better place to make you succeed than making yourself uncomfortable?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think that's been some of the experiences with acting. And I guess that's in the film also, just the overthinking thing and trying to figure out, going back and forth on, should I do this? Is it crazy? Am I crazy? And to finally say, you know what, there's only one way to find out. And you just got to do it. So.
Do it. That's a scary thing for people, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's sort of the mission statement behind this film, is to give those people that idea, convey
absolutely.
it?
And I think it ends on the positive note of, you don't know what's coming, but at least you can find, I think, peace of mind and happiness in the fact that you're pursuing what you want to do. Yeah. And I mean, everyone always says, like, you're going to regret it down the line. If you didn't try to do what you really wanted to do, you're going to regret it later. Yeah. And I'm like, let's not regret things. Let's just figure it out.
Just go for it. No regrets. What about your support system? Friends, family?
Yeah, my family's been very supportive. My dad really helped me out, kind of figuring out how to. I mean, it was a couple years where I wasn't sure how to even become an actor. Like, I had no idea. I mean, so I'm like, do you just Google this? I mean,
right. What's the process?
So my sister actually was a child actress in like some commercials and stuff. And so he had some people he knew through that and reached out and to help me figure out how to do it. And I mean, my dad, he paid for my first headshots. You know,
wow.
like, I mean, I had no money. And
way to go, Dad.
It was really, really generous. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
do you mind if I ask what he does for a living?
My dad. So he was in insurance for a long time. I think like 30 years, and then he had like an insurtech company, and so he does a lot of stuff like that, insurance. And he's also though been like a writer, and he's actually it's been helping me. One of my next scripts he actually has written, and we're kind of writing it together. And so
he's kind of got left brain, right brain.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. Yeah, very creative, and so that's cool.
That's pretty cool to have that. My dad would always tell me, "Don't do what I do." He never told me how to not do that. Yeah. He just like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I figured it out on my own. But I don't think this. But at first, when I asked you that question about what your dad does, my thought was, I wonder if he's living vicariously through you. He's like helping you not get stuck.
You know, and we kind of talked about that. He told me when he was growing up, you know, I think it was laid out for him in terms of, I mean, obviously he chose what to do, but he went to school and got his degree, went to insurance. And he's always told me growing up, like, I don't want you to ever feel like you have to do a certain thing. Yeah. And so figure out what you like and love to do and go for that.
Go for it.
So,
and not to say what he did or does isn't rewarding at all. I'm sure he had really many times where he loved that. I think that mindset is kind of coming on to this generation now, huh? Yeah. Kind of we have opportunity. We don't have to stay in that little town. We don't have to stay in that little job or get a job with someone who has great benefits. You know, there's more flexibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was there ever like an aha moment for you when you decided, this is like when you picked up a camera and you're like, this feels good?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I've always been involved in filming stuff. I mean, my dad actually was the first one to put a camera in my hand, also. So I guess everything really is kudos to my dad.
I'm about to meet this guy.
But I was my senior year, and he was like, "You should really look at doing this." And he kind of bought me like some books and courses to learn how to film and edit. And so I kind of ran with that through college, and did a lot of like sports documentaries, sports videos, and I was also playing basketball, so I filmed a lot of myself and just all kinds of stuff. And then, I did a documentary my senior year. It was called The Heart of the Game. It was on actually Caitlin Clark's club team, so that was pretty cool. And
Very cool.
I won some awards for that, and I was like, hey, this is pretty fun. So that kind of kickstarted everything, I think, with filming.
Yeah. So when you're in the process to bring on actors for this series, the docuseries you've written, how did you choose them? What was the logic behind
the straight and narrow? Okay, so that it's so actually it was the character, his name is Rodney, is the actor, and he and I met. My first acting gig ever actually was last year, I think December last year, and we met on set. We immediately hit it off. We've been good friends ever since. And you talk about support system. Yeah, it's great to have somebody going through it. He's only been acting, I think he's in his second year, so also fairly fresh. But
what was this that you were on together?
It was called, God, I'm blanking. It was a short film. I can't remember the name right now, but it was basically, he was kind of an office scenario type thing, and I was the boss of the main character. Yeah. And he was one of the guys competing with him for like a raise type of thing, and so I was just I actually was pissed at. We did a whole 2 days of filming where the whole day of filming was all these takes of me basically yelling at him because he was messing up, and we still became, in between takes, we're like laughing and joking around. So we always joke about that, like I basically had to be pissed at him, but we became friends. Off screen.
The silver lining.
Yes, it was really cool. And so when I was thinking about doing this, short film kind of started as like let me do it as an acting exercise. And then I said, well, you know what, if I'm really going to do this, let's do it right and do it especially with having that background of filmmaking and stuff. Yeah. And so he's the first person I called to say, look, there's a role I've written actually with you in mind. And would you grace me with your talents? And he's absolutely, so.
What an honor.
Yeah. So that's how I basically got him to be.
You sweet talked him.
Yeah, a little bit, So, and he was excited, and we had a great time just making that film. Yeah. So,
were there any challenges throughout that process?
Yes. I mean, especially because I acted in it, I filmed it, I edited the whole thing. So it's a little bit, like the scenes where I'm in the car. I had to find a parking lot. There was one parking lot I went to, I got kicked out of. Security was like, "What are you doing?" Because I got lights set up and I'm sitting in my car. They're like, "What is this?" So that was a challenge, and I had to just find. It's actually some school right next to my house. Thank God nobody was there at 10:30 at night.
Knocked it out.
So, film that, and then I think just kind of everything is on your shoulders if you don't have a big team, and I didn't have a team at all. Yeah. I have no money, so I didn't have a team at all. And just kind of like, wow, it really becomes down to me to film it. Now I've done that, making sure that's all looking good. How do you act in it while you're trying to film it? Sometimes that's a little bit of a challenge too. Scenes where I'm driving in the car, I'm like, very dangerous, never do this. I'm like trying to act and hold the camera, make sure it doesn't fall down. I'm like, this is a bad idea. So just stuff like that, it kind of is a little bit, it can be a little hectic, but
and then manage yourself, I would think, as far as how your acting is coming forth.
And it's it's a very personal story, obviously, so I think it was worked out well with that, so it's kind of a private where I could just let it out. Yeah. So
are any of your future things in the works? Obviously you learned from this first one. Any influences that are going to carry over to these?
Well, I think I'm trying to bring in some more people.
that
would help, I think, a little bit. And just also that creative process of bringing other minds in. That there's actually one of the really cool things about starting acting now is I've been on a lot of sets with a lot of different people, and we all kind of are growing together. And now we kind of keep in touch, and so there's actually a couple people I'm going to bring in from other sets I've been on to either act in it or kind of help me produce it and things like that.
Just on the same path.
Yes, definitely bringing in, I think, more minds, and you learn stuff from the first film. Absolutely.
That's so cool because you're building relationships that will carry forth through all these processes. And is it vice versa? Are they calling you in on some of their stuff?
Yeah, coming to some of their stuff too. And
that.
so, or I've posted some. So the film's been on a festival run and gotten a handful of awards, which has been like amazing. And I'm just honored and touched, blown away a little bit. But they've kind of kept on looking at, and they're like, dude, this is so happy for you. Wow. We got to work together again, so that's cool to get that from them, and we all stay in touch.
How did you get to know Old Town Film Festival then?
Yeah, actually, I saw it on Film Freeway, and then I looked it up on Instagram, and actually you're the first face I saw. I think he has your post pinned on the page, so I saw you guys talking about it, and I was like, oh hey, and so
I'm responsible for this award, basically.
Honestly, and I knew you because of JP, and so and I'm like looking at the page and stuff, and I mean, for me it felt cool. It's in your backyard. It's like your hometown film festival. I'm like, you have to participate in that and get to know the community. And I mean, I met a lot of cool people just being there, so that was really fun.
Yeah, your dad obviously in the audience.
Yes, he was there. He was, and he's actually in the film because there's pictures. This is one of the questions that Dan had asked me. He was like, so like the mixed media you use, is that really you? I'm like, you do that. These are pictures from my childhood. Like, there's my dad right there. And so I shouted him out, my dad is here. He was in the film. So he's laughing. So
everybody's asking for his autograph.
I know, yeah.
You're the dad.
Yeah. He's like, it's all me, guys. I made this happen.
I love it. Well, throughout watching it, there's definitely, and I have Leo here to help me with things. So I'm not in tune with different aesthetics of the cinematography and all, but you have a certain feel in this film. What led you to choose that look and feel for your cinematography?
It's funny. So I was writing this, and I actually had just watched Fight Club, which kind of a lot of the same kind of.
That's a cool film.
I'm like, wow, like I think this is really, and just that look and all the night stuff, and kind of have that low like green tint-ish feel, very dramatic, very dark, and so I kind of pulled from that. Because it's a heavy, it's a heavy topic. Yeah. And definitely Fight Club was a huge influence for some of the aesthetic. So.
Yeah. Is that something, well, every film's going to be different, I'm pretty sure. So it's the feel of it, the vibe of it. In these future ones that you're conjuring up, do you already have a feel for those and what they
little bit. The next one I'm making, it's called Tempest. It's kind of has some sci-fi elements to it. So I'm totally going different. I just want to have a lot of fun making this one. So it's going to be a wild ride. That was kind of my goal with this next one. The vibe is going to be it's fun to make, fun to be in, and just a fun movie to watch. Yeah. And so it's going to be a little wild. It's going to be kind of, you're thinking it's something and it's not going to be that at all.
Oh, lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, a little bit. So
That's the best.
I'm already excited. We've already started filming some of it. And I actually started editing it. I got like the first minute edited just because I immediately have to touch it. I'm like, I got to get on it.
Well, you're also in this creative era in your life, I guess. Use that to your benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things too, circling back with, chasing, how do you know when, was there a moment? Yeah. And I think just in the process of doing these things, what makes you feel alive? And I know it's not always the thing you should, maybe it's not always the best mindset because a lot of things can make you feel alive. Maybe they're not good for you, but just the act of even just like writing and seeing the scenes and putting them on paper and then making it happen and bringing it to life. Yeah. Acting, where not everything you're going to be in is like the best thing ever. It's like I'm in some, Scorsese film, but do you still enjoy the day-to-day moments? And I've loved everything about it.
I love that.
So it's been cool.
That's what it should be about. Yeah. We should be going in it and loving it. And you just said a lot of things can make you feel alive that may not be the right thing. But so we'll take that and go a healthy alive.
Yes, a healthy alive. Yeah.
And there's so many things in our life that we can draw in from that. Do you see yourself being in all? I shouldn't say all because you're just venturing into new ones. But do you see yourself being in the films you produce from here on out, or would you like to take a step back?
It would be nice to take even if we have a script. I was talking to one of my mentors about this, a great guy. His name's Evan. He actually, do you know about Jeremy Lin at all?
No.
Jeremy Lin kind of in 2013-14 blew up in the NBA.
Okay.
He's of Asian descent, so he was like the first Asian, obviously Weid Yao Ming, but he's the first Asian American. Yeah. And I watched this documentary about kind of and he blew up, and this guy was like putting 38 up on like the Lakers and Kobe Bryant, and so it was a big deal, especially in the basketball world, which I was heavily in. And I've watched that documentary like 20 times. Big inspiration for me through the golf world, which is my day job.
Yeah.
He's making a documentary on one of our players. I meet him. I had no idea. She's like, you got to talk to Evan, and he's a great guy. And so I talked to him, and we're getting to know each other. We become really good friends. He becomes a mentor.
Wow.
Turns out he's like, oh yeah, I made this thing, Linsanity. I'm like, what? I've seen this thing like a million times. It was at Sundance. It's been in a lot of, and he's actually made his own full-length feature film called like Snakehead, and he does all kinds of stuff. And he's become a mentor to me through this. So I was actually talking to him a little bit about, you know, what I'm working on, and he was just saying like, do you want, like, same question, do you want to be either acting and everything and like doing everything all the time? I said, no, man, it's a lot of work. It would be great to either like focus on the acting, which is what I would love to do in my next, you know, my next project. Yeah. Just be able to focus on that and kind of bring other people in to kind of help produce the whole thing. So
you take it next level.
Yes, absolutely, and kind of help raise the bar, and it only get better.
What a gift to have met your mentor.
Yeah, it's wild, and just the people you meet, and I mean, I think that's timing. A lot of things timing, right? Sometimes I'm like, wow, have I wasted time by not pursuing this sooner? But you don't know. You don't know you want to do this at the time. And I wouldn't have met people like him and all these other great people I've met that have inspired me. Yeah. You know, if I hadn't been in the situation I'm in.
I almost feel like by spending that time wondering, that's like energy wasted. Yeah. You put that off to the side and things just kind of come to you. Yeah. Naturally almost. Mm-hmm. You know?
I do waste a lot of that energy sometimes. This part of the film, I overthink, man. I'm like, we gotta stop doing that.
Oh my gosh. So, well then, you mentioned a little bit about your day job. Mm-hmm. Yes. But that's a necessity to, you know, help you do what you really want to do. But your day job is okay if I mention that. Yeah. You work for the PGA. Yes. And you women's golf, and you travel the world. Has that hindered your if I may, I don't want to put you on the spot.
It certainly can. I mean, there's been instances where I had to do auditions from like a hotel room and stuff like that, or like recently I got a role offer, but I couldn't take it because I had to, you know, I had to do my job. So I had to travel and I was out of town. So that stuff can be a little bit. It's kind of
hurt when you have to turn something down.
It's a little crushing. Yeah. But you know, I just have to say, you know, I'm figuring things out still. Yeah. Just keep staying positive. Things are going to come, and hopefully we can keep finding what's next.
Do you find yourself like jotting down thoughts and writing, like even if they don't relate to what you're working on currently? Yeah. This is random thought. You got to get it on paper.
Sometimes I can't sleep because we were talking. My dad and I were talking about like we got to keep coming up with you got to keep coming up with just things to
ideas.
Yeah, and even if it's not, you're not going to make it a film. Maybe it's just you're filming it, and it's a situation where you can practice the craft of acting. Yeah. And it's funny though, because that's always I feel going to lead to you writing a script, right? So you're like, oh, it's a film. So absolutely, there's like all these things I can't think. If I can't sleep, I'm just like, wait a minute, I got a rom-com idea. Wait, that could be a good. Let me try that. That could be an exploring thing, and let me just write. So I start writing stuff down. It's kind of.
This is sort of random. It just kind of came to me in watching Straight and Narrow and the characters. What if you were to be sitting down with all of them at a dinner in a restaurant or something? What would that look like with all the characters from that movie?
Yeah.
And you just sitting there. And you're in an interesting position because you are one of the characters. Yeah. But the writer as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's... The character is almost basically me. So, you just be sitting with me, really. And, you know, Rodney is very much so Rodney. His character is John. He very much so... And I think you can see a little bit of like our friendship in, you know, and when you watch it too. So it's, I mean, it basically just be like hanging out with us. I think.
That's got to be kind of affirming for your friendship though, to be able to kind of watch it on film or write it down.
Yeah. And we had at the screen, the premiere of it, which is really cool, is at the Chinese Theater in LA.
Oh no way! Wow, festival, that's
which is
cool.
Really cool. Wow. And so the whole family came out, and that was a fun thing. But some of the feedback from the audience that came up to us after, and they said, "You guys." You can tell there's like chemistry between you two. Yeah. Which is funny though, because we didn't actually film in the same room. I mean, it's talking on a phone, so it's not like we're doing it at the same. But obviously, I was directing him, and you know, I'm there, and I was reading him the lines while so you're still basically acting together. So yeah, it was kind of cool.
But yeah, there was no need to be in the room, so the character definitely wasn't. So then you mentioned your sister. Is she still in that world? Is she still?
No, she's I think she did it for a couple years, and she this is actually kind of funny. She was in all these commercials. There was these toys. I think they were called like like hush puppies. I don't know, these little robot dogs, and it was like her first like I think like national commercial. You could look it up on YouTube. I'm like, that's my sister, and we still have the little dogs. Yeah. And she actually had just like landed an Aflac commercial, which was going to be like really big for her. And I mean, she's super young. I think she was like 7 or something. But I think she got burned out at 7. I think she was like, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. And now she's like, Dad, why did you let me stop? She's like, I was a rising star, Dad. Come on.
He shifted all that to you. Like, a rising star.
I said, I guess I have it now. No.
Is she younger or older?
She's 2 years older than me.
2 years older.
Super supportive. I mean, as well. I mean, if I got to do auditions, she'll be my reader and stuff like that, and kind of help me out. And she's the best. So.
I love that support system around you is so important.
Yeah.
When the Straight and Narrow, would you recommend someone needing to rewatch that to catch something they may not have caught in the beginning? Are there any little hidden nuances or visuals that, little surprises that you'd catch that second time around?
Maybe not necessarily. I think you might maybe just certain lines that you might. Oh, actually, you maybe missed in some of it. And, you might like I had people come up and say after, like, there were certain lines, and they would tell me, like, one of them, there's a line in the beginning where I say, I'm talking about going through college, and I got this super expensive piece of paper out of it, right? And he came up to me after, and he's like, dude, I tell my wife all the time, like, look at this feeling on my wall. It's the most expensive thing I've ever paid for, this piece of paper. So things like that, maybe just certain lines that you might resonate with a little more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend everybody watch it. Where will they find this?
So it's still on the festival run. So I kind of have to wait until that's over, which should be early, I think, next year.
Okay.
And then it'll be I'll put it up on YouTube. And the trailer's on YouTube. Under 1024 Productions, I got a little channel I made for it. Yeah. So, and that's where it'll live, essentially, yeah.
That's kind of an interesting little fact. You aren't able to release the film.
Yeah. I think they kind of want to make sure it's, it's just, special. It's not public, so it's very special, especially like a premiere or whatever.
Okay.
We want to make sure, like, hey, it's only at our festival. And
that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, I don't know how closely some people are looking at that, but that's just like a rule of thumb I've heard. So.
Yeah, proper etiquette. Where is it headed next?
Not official, but I think it'll be heading up to the Culver City Film Festival. I think that's going to be at a theater in LA. I can't remember the exact. But it'll be in December. Yeah. So I'll blast that out when I get all the details and stuff. But
where's the furthest it's been or will go?
I think it's LA. It's been pretty local. So I haven't really applied to too much I applied to like one thing in London. I didn't get in. That was kind of my reach one. Yeah. I'm probably not going to get in, but wait, London.
You never know. So, look, you're building awards. Yeah, people look at that kind of stuff, I would think.
So hopefully we'll see. But I think it'll probably... I think in maybe February it'll be like the last. There's one in Oakland I'm hoping to get into, stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. But
it'd be interesting to see the differences between like what Dan does and then what like LA does. I'm sure extremely different.
Yeah, there's one I went to. It's called the Simi Film Fest, Simi Valley, which really big film area location. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was filmed out there, and I mean that was a beautiful festival too, and another great experience.
Yeah.
And it is cool to kind of. I think the best thing you take from it is like. These people care. Like the people that run that festival, they care so much. Joe and Katie, they run that festival. I mean, just the best people and really want to see you succeed and be better. I think you get that same feel with Dan at Old Town.
Yeah.
Just that he cares a lot about growing this community of filmmakers and kind of helping you figure out what's next and how to keep learning and improving, like with the Q&As or those sessions that they have. And I think that's the best part, seeing the different just environments of how they do things, but like the level of care is always there, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So. Well, everybody has their own version.
Yeah.
You know, I will say I am incredibly impressed with you and what you've accomplished at the young age of 28. Any advice for those upcoming filmmakers or people a little scared or nervous what to do?
I mean, it's so cliche, Nike, just do it. But
no.
I mean, it totally is, though. I mean, the things from example, I really wanted to play basketball. And that was my big dream for a long time. And I was like, when you're a kid, it's like NBA. That's not going to happen. But I tried really hard to do that. And I fell short of my ultimate goal. But the process of, hey, look what I did and how much I grew as a human being.
Yeah.
So even if you don't always get what you want out of it, you're going to find probably what's better on that path anyway, which I found filmmaking through and acting through all this process.
Yeah.
And so just go try it. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't work out, whatever, it's okay.
You're still learning. You're
exactly.
still growing.
And if I told myself something at 20, it would be that, like, don't worry about this stuff. Just do it.
Yeah.
And, some of the actors I meet now, it's funny because they're like these 20-year-old, they're like in college. And what's great is I blend in. They're like, we're sitting around.
Yeah.
They're like, how old are you? And I tell them, like, why? I'm like, thank God it's working. Skincare, baby.
There you go.
But I just tell them to, like, dude, and they're all stressing out. And a lot of them have related with the film, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're fine. Just keep
Chill.
doing it.
Just
keep chasing it, keep figuring out what you want to do. And if you have an idea, do it.
Yeah.
And, you're going to learn through that anyway.
That's a great thing for them to hear from someone older, but someone they can also relate to.
Yeah.
And fresh out of the gate. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm just so impressed with what you've accomplished in a short period of time. But it seems like your life has sort of been set up for that. I think you've had some really great people behind you.
Yeah.
Some good experiences. We all can learn from that.
Yeah.
And try to not take it so seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
As soon as I shook your hand when you came up, you started laughing. I'm like, "What did I do?"
No.
But I know it's you, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing character trait to have. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
So let's review that again. If you want anyone to follow you on your socials,
Yes.
what do we have? For,
my Instagram is @thebeall33, BEALL, 33, and then the film is just _film. And then, I'm on everything, just my name for the most part, Andrew Beall. So, yeah.
I see big things happening. So don't forget us here on Gracious Spaces.
Hey, I'll come back, man. I'd love to.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all about. I feel like film and is your gracious space.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you shared that with us today.
Oh, thank you.
And anybody, if you had if I had a magic wand and said someone could walk through that door right now, who would that be for you? That might inspire you, or would it be an NBA player?
No, I mean, yes, it would probably be. I mean, I've met him. I was lucky enough to meet him. Was Kobe Bryant was my hero. Rest in peace. So it would be my first. But I think like there's so many actors I watch. Like somebody told me, just watch good performances. Just try and do that. So I'm watching all kinds of stuff. So I think like Timothy Chalamet would be cool because he's similar age to me, and he's been phenomenal. So that'd be cool to just pick his brain and get some advice.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing your morning with us.
Thank you for having me.
And you are absolutely welcome back anytime.
That'd be great.
And we appreciate everybody listening today. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.